It's that time again. Hello and welcome to another midweek message. I think it's summer. It's now, where are we, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. Blue sky, sunshine, a little bit of a breeze. It's about 10 degrees out there, which is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This morning it was 0, which is 32 Fahrenheit, of course. 87% humidity, 1034 millibars on the barometer. So it wasn't at all warm first thing, but now it's lovely. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, as I said, because I've been out in the garden doing a few jobs and enjoying the little bit of sunshine. Make hay while the sun shines, as they say. Bob, nice to hear from you in California. You're safe where you are from the fires, which is good. There goes an aeroplane out of Shoreham Airport. There we are. You can tell the sun's out. Here we go. We're heading towards the spring and the summer. Bob says, sometimes you mention your father. Can you give us some stories? Well, my father passed away years ago. It's many, many years ago he passed away. Thinking back, I don't really have any stories involving him. He worked full-time, of course, back in the early days. He was a motor mechanic. He was a Rolls-Royce qualified motor mechanic back in the 1950s, that would be. He then went on to work for himself. Rather like me, he worked for himself most of his life. He was repairing domestic appliances, things like that, reconditioning vacuum cleaners and things. We didn't really have, I suppose, looking back, a great deal to do with each other. As I went into my teens, I eventually left home and I was doing my own thing. I know a lot of fathers and sons, they go fishing together and that sort of thing. We did. We used to go to a lake at Hurstpier Point? Yes, a lake at Hurstpier Point. That's how I got into fishing originally when I was about 12. This is coarse fishing, of course. He used to go with a friend of his and I would tag along sometimes. But then, as I got into my teens, I started going fishing with a chap I knew, a friend of mine from school. So my father wasn't sort of involved in that. I very much did my own thing after I got to my late teens, I suppose, left home. I just did my own thing. I went my own way. So there aren't really any stories involving him. There used to be family get-togethers at my parents' house, us 4 kids and our husbands and wives and kids and we'd have these big family gatherings sometimes at the weekend. My dad would fire up a barbecue, stuff like that. We'd all go around there in the summer. But he was never involved in my hobby. I mean, my hobby is ham radio, as you know, amateur radio, electronics. He wasn't into that. He was heavily into gardening, though. That's probably where I got that. I think I've mentioned that before. He was heavily into gardening in the old days. He had a greenhouse and he had a huge vegetable plot, because we had a big garden. Each house they lived at, I think it was only 2 or 3 moves, they had huge garden. So he had vegetable plots and runner beans in the greenhouse and basically everything. That's how I got into gardening, I think. In fact, a friend of mine recently was saying that his dad, who he's now lost, was not only his dad but his best friend. Wasn't like that with my dad. I don't know why. He did his thing and I did mine. What's that saying? That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's it. Email from Ray. Ray says, life would be okay if it wasn't for people. Well, I have to agree there, Ray. Life would be okay if it wasn't for people. Just a quick hello to everyone who's in Vegas at the moment. Hello to you. I hope Vegas is good. Don't lose all your money in slot machines. Do you know, I've never been to Las Vegas. I've seen things on the telly about it. Rows and rows of fruit machines and gambling and betting and all this stuff. Quite an amazing place. It's in the desert. Is it the Nevada desert? In the middle of the desert. I wonder why they built it there. When I went to America in 75, went to California, the people we were staying with, they said, do you want to go to Las Vegas? And I said, oh yeah, that would be good. And they said, it's going to be a long drive. I forget how many hours. And in the end, we said, no, we won't bother. I should have said, yes, we'll do that. Would have been interesting. Anyway, hello to everyone out in Vegas. I don't know whether you can hear that now and then. There's some chap up the road with, I don't know, sounds like a chainsaw or an electric saw of some sort. Of course, this is what happens as well. You get a few nice days. All the little aeroplanes come out of Shoreham Airport. People are out in the garden, lawnmowers, power tools, everything starts happening. Everything comes to life. Talking of the garden and the summer, a friend of mine dropped off his lawnmower. He's given me a lawnmower, an Atco. It's an Atco 1260, that's the model. 1960s petrol-driven lawnmower. He's restored the thing, and it's lovely. Trish looked at it and she said, where are we going to put that? I said, oh, don't worry about that. She said, I do worry about it. We've already got your Lister engine on the patio. Where's the lawnmower going? Anyway, it's in one of the sheds at the moment. I haven't started it up yet. Yeah, this chap, Tony, is a lovely chap. He did this lawnmower up and he's put new wooden rollers on the front. He had to have those made especially. And he's de-rusted it and he's painted it and restored it. It's a beautiful thing. And it was in his garage. He's also got a Lister engine. And it was in the way in the end. And he said to me, we were chatting on the radio, and he said, do you want a lawnmower? It's free and I'll deliver it. How about that? And his lovely wife brought round some rock cakes. My favourite. So I got a free lawnmower and some rock cakes, which is rather nice. If I had more space, I would have all sorts of engines and things. I'd like a tractor, one of these old farm tractors, you know, from the 60s or 50s even. Massey Ferguson, are they? There's John Deere, isn't there? Anyway, won't go into all that because I'll start boring people, but I do like engines and generators and anything electromechanical, anything that makes a noise and smells. So what have you been up to? Anything interesting, exciting, dangerous, illegal? I hope not. Ray's Rants at protonmail.com. I've been sorting out my seeds. We've got runner bean seeds. We've got sweet pea seeds. Yeah, sweet pea seeds. Various other seeds that I've been keeping warm and dry. Well, not too warm over the winter. Cool and dry over the winter. It won't be too long now and I'll be planting those. Oh, by the way, the Atco lawnmower, I'm not going to use it on the lawn. It's too nice for that. I've got a lawnmower of my own, so I won't need to use the Atco. That's going to be just for display purposes. I used to have was it Suffolk Colt or Suffolk Punch petrol mower decades ago. My son used to run up and down the garden beside me when I was mowing the lawn. That was nice, the old petrol mower. Do that at the weekend, sunny morning in the summer, and he'd run along beside me, pretending that he was mowing the lawn. Do you remember that, North Carolina son? Do you remember that? Happy days. I'm not sure what this Sunday's podcast will be about. I shall have to have a look through my book of notes. I keep looking out of the window. I'm looking out of the window all the time I'm talking to you. Oh, by the way, the flag. Did I mention the flag? It's not doing much. It's wrapped round the pole. Really nice. No breeze at all. I went out the front the other day. Bulbs coming up everywhere. Daffodils. We've got crocus, snowdrop. Oh, what was the other one? Lily of the Valley. I haven't got. That was my grandmother's favourite. Bless her cotton socks. Lily of the Valley. And she loved cowslips. Do you have cowslips in other countries? You might call them by a different name. Who remembers cowslips? They're like primroses, but the flowers kind of hang over, a bit like bluebells. No, not bluebells, that's wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. Look up cowslips, as in cow, C-O-W, slips, as in petticoat. Who calls petticoats slips anymore? They were slips, weren't they? How things have changed over the years. You never hear anyone mention a slip. Or a frock, for that matter. At school, the girls all wore frocks. That's changed, hasn't it? Everything's changed. I hate it. As you know, I don't like all this change. I'd like to go back to the good old days. But of course I can't. It's just not possible. Beam me back, Scotty. Where do you want to go? 1956. That'll do. Talking of the Nevada desert, there's a programme we watch called Richard's House of Games. And sometimes they have questions about a certain area. It could be Europe, Asia, America, and they'll put up this map of North America and they'll ask questions. I can't think of one offhand, but for example, where did so-and-so happen? And if you think, oh, I know where that was Chicago, you've got a point on the map where Chicago is. And it's quite amazing how dreadful most people's geography is. It's awful. Quite a few of the contestants on there haven't got a clue where anywhere is in America. I must admit, I'm not that good. I know where New York is. Oh, one of the questions the other day, what does DC stand for in Washington? District of Columbia. I knew that. And of course, the other one is Washington State. Not one of the contestants knew that. How about that? Washington, DC. I got it right. I know where California is, of course. Then there's Hawaii, that looks like it's out of the way. Alaska up the top. I don't know why I'm mentioning all this, but it's quite interesting. What I've been doing is looking at my atlas. I've got a nice big old atlas here, paper atlas, not online, all that nonsense. And I've been looking at America. There's Ohio, there's Texas, there's this place, there's that place there's Nevada. And when it comes to the questions, I am improving a little bit. I am improving. There was a question the other day. It was a map of the UK. And the question was something. The answer was Sheffield. And this woman, she put her dot on the map down in Cornwall. And she was saying, I thought that was Sheffield or something. That's down in, I don't know, Sheffield's up north. So we don't know our own country, let alone other people's. I shall leave you in peace. I shall see you Sunday. I don't know what with yet. As I said, I shall dream up something to rabbit on about for an hour. Be good, be bad, don't get caught and all that stuff. Here we go again. Can you hear that? The chap started up his saw or whatever it is again. On that note, take care. Thanks for listening as always. See you on Sunday. Bye-bye for now.